Isn't this one of the most magnificent vistas in the world? This is Banff in the Canadian Rockies. Over 100 years ago, railway tycoon William Cornelius Van Horn declared in these immortal words, "If we can't export the scenery, we'll import the tourists." Since the golden age of steam, the beauty of Banff has attracted travelers from far and wide. And every 3 years, another call beckons the young and adventurous to these mountains, the Banff International String Quartet competition. Music, mountains, magic. My name's Andrew Dawes. For many years, I was a member of the ORFORD String Quartet. When we started way back in 1965, there was no such thing as a chamber music competition. But today, there are 3 major contests for young string quartets in London, England, Evian, France, and here in beautiful Banff, Canada. The Rockies are a great source of inspiration. You couldn't pick a better place for an art school. The Banff Centre welcomed its first students in 1933. Thousands of artists, musicians, and performers got their start here. I, as a young lad, came to study fiddle in the 40s. Obviously, things have changed a lot since then. To help mark the 50th anniversary of the Centre, the first international string quartet competition was born. The process to determine the best of a new generation of quartets began months before. Ken Murphy, the artistic director of the competition, patiently sorts through a gaggle of official entries and passes them on to a preliminary jury. Identified only by number, the preliminary jury makes its choices based on the sound of the quartets rather than reputation. Of the many applications, only 10 will pass muster. Some have established reputations, others are newcomers to the scene. Musically, it makes for an exciting competition, and so our story begins.
Buongiorno.
The Amati Quartet, we founded it in 1981. Amati is an Italian name, and he was the founder of the modern violin, which we use today.
I'm Barbara King. I'm playing second violin in Amati Quartet. I'm not from Basel originally, but I live here now since half a year, and I like it very much because it inspires me, as in making music, as in interpreting old music as well as contemporary things.
Look, we are born into this tradition, for example, and this is a gate which is over 700 years old.
It's also interesting for the music because it makes us feel directly this life from the 18th century, 19th century. It's not only old buildings here, it's not an old city, like it's standing on its traditions, but it's trying to combine both things, the old and the new.
The fountain is a sculpture. It's a sculpture done by an artist, and his name was Jean Tinguely, and he just died in December. And he also did a sculpture in Paris, in the Opéra Bastille, new Opéra Bastille, and he did a sculpture there, and it was also in between an electric motor. And the hour he died, this electric motor stopped too. And now they left it, you know? They didn't switch it on again. For me, chamber music is a very, very exciting thing, even it is a minority, but I don't keep that in mind. For me, it's more important how you can be expressive. And I think chamber music is one of the finest possibilities to express yourself with music.
Well, we came here to kick some butt. No, we came here to play our best and to hopefully be the best. That's what we worked hours and hours a day for.
I mean, as much as you try to tell yourself it's just another concert, I think unfortunately the whole competitive aspect, for me anyway, really turns it into not a fun gig.
There will be always comments about the fact that competitions are not really conducive to making music, and I can see that there's a point to that, because again, you're asking people to judge what's best when indeed all we're judging is what's different.
We should have a ball game or run a race if you want to have a competition. That's fun, but music and competitive sports don't really mix in my mind. But we're here, so I'm a bit hypocritical, aren't I?
But what are they competing for? Well, I'll tell you what we did, which is that we got a career out of this competition. I can't assume that they're just here just for the experience. I'm pretty sure they're here to win.
And that's why I am glad I'm not a judge, because I feel like we're all fruits. Some are pineapples, some are bananas, some are oranges. Pick the ones you want. Do you want a banana? Do you want a strawberry? And today it might be different than tomorrow. So I don't know how they're going to do that. I'm glad I'm not them.
You're probably wondering why we're looking so cold here. Well, that's because we're in Rochester, and even though it's spring every place else, it's still winter here. We're the YING Quartet, and we're studying at the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York.
We're a family quartet, and I think that's a curiosity for most people, because as far as I know, we're the only professional string quartet that is composed entirely of siblings. Eastman is a phenomenal facility. We have George Eastman to thank for that, who built this theater here, which seats over 3,000 people, so that no money was really spared in building this facility. And it's just a real privilege to have something like this in a small community like Rochester.
Well, this is my friend George Eastman's house right here. It's my friend because he also started our music school, but it's a pretty nice pad. He was obviously a great music lover. He, in fact, has his own organ inside the building here, and they tell me that he liked organ music for breakfast. So he always had an organist playing live music during breakfast. However, he didn't want to see the organist. So what he did was he took the flowers from his garden over there, built a big wall in front of the organ so he didn't have to look at the organist.
One of the areas that we feel the greatest commitment towards is music education. I think people are losing touch with chamber music. They think that it's only for the rich or only for the elderly, that it's a rarefied thing that happens only in the upper classes. And we love taking it to schools and to play for children who have never heard a string quartet before, and to see them get excited about what we do. And we think that's just amazing that we can touch children that way who have never heard string quartets before.
There's no question that the golden age of chamber music is now in terms of amount of activity. When I was coming through school at about the same age as the YING Quartet, according to the statistics of Chamber Music America, there were fewer than 50 professional chamber music ensembles living in the United States. And our organization now has a membership of nearly 600.
For whatever reasons, society or the education, or musical education in particular, is producing so many performers of pretty high quality. There has got to be some method of separating the wheat from the chaff, or whatever the expression is, and the competition is perhaps the best that we have.
And you know, you have to be able to survive the pressure of a competition like this, because when you get out into the real world, the touring life, the pressure of performances in large cities, if you can't do it in a competition, you won't be able to do it out in the real world.
When you go and you hear a quartet that's playing and is playing some piece really so beautifully, I've always had this analogy. It's like you're just opening a curtain just ever so slightly, and if you peek in there, you can see paradise.
I mean, let's face it, to play quartet you must be a little crazy. You're not dealing with normal circumstances. You have to travel a lot. I mean, you could say playing string quartet is not possible for any reasons, because you won't fit together, the money is too little, and the music is too complicated. So you must be crazy to do that.
What, nuts to play in a quartet?
I couldn't imagine doing anything else. The thing I worry about is that there are so many young quartets coming up. Are they all going to make it? I'm not so sure. So maybe it takes competitions that, to weed out really the top groups. But the bottom line with string quartets is really the long term.
We're the St. Lawrence String Quartet. We're all Canadian, 2 from the West, 2 from the East. Currently we're based in New York and have been here for 2 years studying with the Emerson String Quartet.
Here we are at the infamous Times Square, New York City. All roads, I always think that all roads don't lead to New York City, all roads lead out of New York City. So it's nice if you have an opportunity to come here because you can network and put your feelers out all over the world.
In New York City, there are maybe 15 quartets that are busy doing concerts and having a really substantial career. If we did all of the concert series within 20 blocks of where I'm standing now, we would be much busier than we would ever be with a very busy concert schedule in Canada.
I think living in New York is similar to how I feel about Schoenberg's music. You like it in spite of the 12th tone aspect of it. It's the same for New York. I think you like New York in spite of everything, not because of everything. Amazing. There's my apartment right there.
When I first got to New York, I couldn't stand it. Well, I mean, it was so totally different from Toronto, and you have to get used to the fact that when you're walking down the street, surrounded by 20 people, 18 of those are certifiably insane. But after 2 years of living with the certifiably insane, either you become one or you just start to ignore them. I'm not sure which one of those I've adopted.
I mean, New York's a strange place, but for some reason all the bad things seem to happen to Barry here. And one day I was sitting home peacefully, and Barry came running in a huff, and he said he'd just been attacked by a nut on the street. And I assumed it was, some psycho guy, but he's still traumatized by it. But we later found out it was a real nut. He was walking down Broadway, and for some reason his mouth was hanging open. I'm not really sure why, but we won't get into that. Something flew off a produce truck right down his throat, and he found himself choking on Broadway, lying on a park bench.
Yes, yeah, I like that. I like the way that feels more. Who are you listening to for this retard?
The value really of the Emerson Quartet, besides their extra musical guidance, is the fact that they can sit there as a fifth member of our quartet and sit there and pick out things that we might hear and are trying to ignore, or maybe we don't notice at all. As far as musical contribution goes, that's where they're the most helpful.
Here I am outside of Lincoln Center, and it's a far cry from the Banff Center, which is about 3,000 miles away. But I wouldn't be here unless I had the expertise and training that the Banff Center has given me in the past 10 summers. And it's a great opportunity for me as a cellist to be a part of a Canadian group and to be able to go and return to Banff and perform in the competition and represent Canada.
there is something wonderful about making music with other people. And I've often felt that if you can get along in a string quartet and work creatively, you can get along in any other area of your life. But chances are, if you can't get along in a string quartet, you're having problems in other areas of your life too.
Chances are that some of the quartets you're hearing on this program are not going to be around in a few years' time. That's not because they don't play well, they're all playing extremely well. That's really just part of the battle. The difficult part on a string quartet is the fact it's so much hard work, you never earn much money, and there are always personality conflicts.
Well, you want some dirt? Is that what you want? Well, a string quartet, I mean, from the outside it looks like a fairly ideal, you know, and kind of serene partnership between four people.
It's a marriage, really. I see the violist more than his wife does. I spend more time with him, but no, we're all very committed.
You can learn just about everything there is to learn about human beings by playing in a string quartet, in a good ways and also in illuminating ways.
This is such a good experience. What better way of getting into music than chamber music? That's what music is really, is playing with other people. And we have already so much in common. Being a married couple, I think we can work really well together in that way, and we're trying to. So.
We don't try to mix personal problems with musical problems. That's the most important part. If we are having a fight, we try to keep it out of rehearsals. Well, yeah, but whenever we would have a fight.
That's the American view, right? Everything's right. Yeah.
Well, our quartet is a pretty exotic quartet. We are very international. The first two violinists are Polish, our cellist is French, and I'm an American. And we feel in that way that we bring a sort of a cosmopolitan feeling to Amiens. We really like being here, but it was sort of destiny. It was by luck that we arrived here together. I just came here to play in an orchestra. I had no idea I was going to be playing in a string quartet. And then I found other people who love string quartet. Well, besides being a great town for music, Amiens is also a great town for writers. Jules Verne lived here. He built this building, which is the Cirque Municipal, the circus building of Amiens, which was built at the turn of the century. His home is also here in Amiens. His house still exists and is a museum now. And most of his great works, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, he wrote here in Amiens. French people love Americans, and they also like dogs a lot. They like dogs so much that they bring them everywhere, to the restaurants, to the laundromat, to friends' houses. It's no problem. And the first time it really struck me was when I was in a restaurant and someone asked the waiter to bring some water for the dog. I thought that was really funny. When I first saw the cathedral, I just had an overwhelming feeling of joy, because it's something incredibly inspiring. It's the largest cathedral in France, and that makes it unique. Also, it took several centuries to build. It was started in the 12th century, and it took a long time to finish, and it's taken a long time to renovate. They're starting a big project now. But to play music in the cathedral, you feel like it's just welcoming you. It's also a place of extreme calm, and so it's difficult to play in such a place, but then you feel like it wants to hear you play. The fact that they could construct something like this in those days, to me as an American, I would think today, in our contemporary times, they would have problems making something, even with modern equipment, that would even come close to the cathedral. Since I can remember, I've always wanted to play chamber music, and I've been attracted especially to string quartet music. And I feel extremely lucky to be here and to be playing with my colleagues in Quartier Yakin because of that. And this music is something special to me. It's four people playing together some of the most beautiful music that's ever been written.
Hello? Who?
The YING Quartet from France is calling.
Hi. What's wrong?
Their orchestra has scheduled an unexpected concert.
Oh, no.
They can't come.
Well, look, Dan, we'll get you here one way or the other. Look, come when you can, okay?
One of the real pleasures of the Banff competition is the great sense of camaraderie. It's more like a convention than a competition.
Everyone says, oh yeah, you know, it doesn't feel like a competition, the audience is so nice and stuff, but when it comes right down to it, it's still a competition. No one's fooling anybody, and you're listening to yourself and you're hoping to play better than you've ever played in your entire life.
I mean, we were talking today about how in some competitions people will say, so how was it? Or you'll ask somebody, how was it? And they'll say, oh, it was excellent, it could have gone any better, with the intention of, I suppose, blowing your confidence completely.
Can you read it?
We are the Mandelring String Quartet from Germany, Neustadt an der Weinstraße, town in the southwestern part of Germany. It's a very famous wine growing area. Maybe you had a glass of our wine that grows here. It's a very good white wine. Also, since this is a very warm climate for Germany, here is almond trees, and these almond trees have given their name to a street, and this name from the street we took for our name. The wine has been growing here for many, many years. As long as 300, 400, 500 years ago the wine came here, I don't know exactly. And if you're walking outside of villages or towns or here in the area, it's all vineyards, and inside the villages many people are living from growing the wine. There's lots of wineries, and actually the building where we're living in used to be a winery as well. The place we're living in, where we're rehearsing in, this hall here, is a pretty special place in our opinion, because it used to be a winery, and this used to be the place where the grapes were pressed. What we are working on is to have a clarity, so to speak, of all four voices. It is four important people that are having a conversation, a musical conversation.
What you see here is called the Hambacher Schloss. It's a very famous castle, and since I have been a small girl, I remember this place, and it's like all the historical places around Neustadt, where I live, are a big part of my life, as well as playing string quartet. I couldn't imagine being without that.
We were very lucky to grow up in a really very musical atmosphere, because all the family has made music since I remember. My father is a music teacher, my mother plays the violin. And it was a very musical atmosphere during our childhood.
I joined the YING Quartet on the 9th of November 1989. We had a very good rehearsal, and we decided to form a new quartet. And we had some little party, we drank some wine and made this new fantastic thing. And somebody entered and asked, "Do you know what happened today?" And we said, "Yes, yeah, we are funny, we formed a new quartet." And he said, "No, the Berlin Wall fell down."
In Neustadt here, it's very easy to live here. We like it very much. We have ample space at home, no distraction. We can really work whatever we want to do, put all the energy into our work. We can travel very easily. It is very pleasant, this area to live here. Weather is nice, and so that's why we really enjoy being here. The cultural background is probably part of the reason why also we are doing string quartet, because if you grow up in this area and you're having examples, people coming from this town that are in classical music, chamber music is our life.
We are very proud of this young quartet, and we wish them bonne chance, good luck for the future. Prost.
Vielen Dank. Prost.
well, memories have really come flooding back. I recall spending long walks in the woods when we were competing actually, and just wondering what could possibly happen. And the most unlikely event did happen indeed to us. We won the very first one, and 9 years later here I am as a judge.
With everybody playing at such a high level, it's very difficult determining who's better than the best. I know, I'm chairman of the jury.
It's not a stress-free environment for a jury. You do worry. You worry about justifying yourself to the people that you have, if you like, dismissed out of hand. No reward, no nothing, and they've been working like dogs, probably.
And I see these people, and I just feel such empathy for them because I can see them feeling exactly the same things that I felt 9 years ago, being scared and excited at the same time, and really trying to project what it is that they have to say through the music.
Well, first of all, it's some of the very greatest music ever written. And I think people in this age need something really beautiful to settle back into, and something that's not so incredibly mechanized as the way our world is, and just the speed that our world is progressing.
And I think in terms of a setting of a concert hall, it's really like a church in a way, a modern style church, because a lot of people who go there for the peace and quiet of just listening to music just for its own sake.
I live in this city since I was born, and I was inspired from the beauty of the city and of the neighborhood of the city, and these hills, these famous hills all over the world. To be surrounded from this kind of beauty and of art, beautiful art, helped me in the study of these big masterworks of romantic art. The name of our quartet, Phone, comes from Old Greek, and it means sound. We are real, we are not fake, and we are not telephone.
I think the repertory of string quartet is the best written music we can play.
Yes, I'm sure every composer gives his best in the writing the string quartet.
Yeah. Huh? Especially the way to play string quartet is very special way.
And every age, romantic, classic, and modern, in the quartet is completely represented with the masterworks.
While I know that people come from all the world to visit the city because it's wonderful for art, but as I grew up here, I was born here, I like, of course, but when I go away, I don't miss at all this city because to me the life here is kind of a little bit boring. So I like much more when I go somewhere like New York City.
I don't know how is the driving in the United States and in Canada, but I'm sure that in Italy is harder because it's like it's not only drive in the street, but it's like a competition, something like this. It's like a fighting.
I don't like to travel with my quartet because they drive like typical Italian style, absolutely crazy.
This is driving, it's not relaxed people like in USA. But, sorry. If we win a competition in Italy, people don't care very much because there is no big tradition of competition in Italy. If we have a good result in a competition in other countries, is a big deal for us and a great advantage in our career. And this is for us more and more important than all the competition that we did here in Italy before.
Even under the best of circumstances, competitions are stressful. The YING Quartet is playing with the added pressure of jet lag, arriving less than 10 hours before their first performance.
Well, we knew we would be pretty exhausted, and it was true. We got here and we were extremely tired and beat. I just felt like I couldn't pick up my instrument, and my colleagues felt the same way. Especially Johanna, she was extremely exhausted. And we thought we'd just be going home without the jury ever having heard us at our best. And that was sort of sad moment for us.
I must say, it's the first day for us. We are very tired. I must say, better late than never. It's rather late for us, but you know, the trip to Banff was very difficult, long, and the change of time was very surprising for us. Now it's better. We enjoy our stay here. It's always all right.
Well, the tensions backstage are really high in the competition before you go out. And I can remember one of our performances where we were completely unaware that there were offstage mics. Our second violinist would do a breathing exercise. She'd take a deep breath, and exhale, making this wild noise. And I went around to everybody. I thought if I gave them pep talks, you know, we'd really go out and play good. But so I would say, have fun. We're going to have fun. Have fun. Do you hear me? Have fun. Have fun. You know, it's one of those things that goes on in a competition. You know, backstage is really very, very interesting to see what goes on.
To make music at a competition is extremely difficult. I mean, the onus is on you to play perfectly. And when you're worried about playing perfectly, you're not worried about making a phrase. You're worrying about not messing up.
When I'm concentrating on the music so much, you try to forget that there's an audience and you just focus on the music itself. And the music itself is very exciting.
Taking part in the competition, you have to know it's a lottery. There is a jury of whatever, 7, 8, sometimes even more members, and you can't please them all. It's a matter of taste. And it's a matter of your form of the day. The only thing is you can try to do your best and then wait what's going to happen.
I go through some weird reactions depending on how nervous you are, or what the temperature, all this stuff, And suddenly you feel like an alien, you're different. So weird things can happen and have happened to me. On the stage, I let the adrenaline help you rather than hinder you. Well, I mean, yeah, sometimes you freak out.
Well, the first few notes really set you off in a direction. I think it's much easier to keep it going well than to sort of dig yourself out of a hole. And if someone's having a bad night, it can slow everyone down. But on the other hand, if someone's having a really inspired night and doing really special things, the other people really respond to that, and that makes a big difference.
There's funny things going on in competitions as well.
You just knew it was going to happen there, too.
There was this imposed piece in this competition. It was a string quartet piece about different quartet techniques, instrumental techniques, and whatever. It was a very, very strong pizzicato passage, and the first violinist broke his E string while he was pizzing. And apparently the piece was pretty new to everybody. Well, you could see that because they didn't notice the others. He was just stopping and they were playing on. So what he finally had to do in the competition, it was a good laugh to everybody, he had to get up, knock on the stand of the cellist who was still playing like a maniac to make him stop in the competition. It was really funny.
We've had 4 days of bliss listening to all these wonderful quartets, and now we have to make the fateful decision that some are further along than others.
It's like being in limbo. You know, I hate to say it, but we're talking about the business of quartets. Ray and I have a family, and we would just love to win this competition. We would just love it.
With the first round complete, the quartets wait to see how the jury rated their efforts. The results posted on the campus electronic bulletin board.
That is the absolutely worst part of the competition. Having to just sit there and watch your fate appear on a television screen, that part of it's always totally nerve-wracking.
I didn't look. I went and practiced. And I let one of the other members come and tell me.
Oh, come on, spell it right.
I didn't want to be there to find out if the news was bad.
Getting cut can be a shattering experience. I know personally it can be absolutely devastating. But still in all, it does prepare one for the rough and tumble of the music business, because often there are going to be disappointments.
Yeah, and we just feel really lucky. I mean, like, this is being our first big experience. Nobody's heard of us, and we feel like we're not under the pressure, the kind of pressure that other groups are, like Miami or someone, they've won big competitions already. This is it for us, so we're just happy to be here. It's great.
Oh, the pressure is enormous. I mean, we feel like we're all about 30 years old, and we want to make a career of this. So there's a lot of pressure we feel on us because we're a little bit too old to be doing this.
I wouldn't say it's not negative stress, but it's like you don't want to disappoint anybody. You want to do the best that you can. And in some ways, you get an idea of what it must have been like for people skating in Calgary or something with like billions of people tuning in. It's hardly the same situation, but it's kind of the same feeling, I can imagine.
As soon as you start getting competitive and thinking about winning or losing, I think the pressure can get to you a lot easier. So I'm just trying to stay loose and concentrate on Beethoven. Although this interview isn't helping much. Yeah.
recently I've been sort of swimming for my life, so it's been touch and go, a combination of weather problems with the axe and more nerves than I had expected.
Mr. Cool, he's always finicking about his strings and they're not responding and the bow hair isn't reacting properly, and my string, my G string, has all these wolf notes and we're really cursing in the, in the warm-up room. But what can you do?
I must admit there are pressure situations. I got stomach problems early in the week. I don't know whether they came from the competition. I've done several competitions before. I never had it before. Maybe it was something in the food, but I took the Maalox, actually.
It's important to unwind, blow off some steam during a competition. The Canadian Rockies has its charms and its buffalo.
Yeah, I've never seen something like that before. You call them how? Bisons?
There's plain bison and wood bison.
Yeah.
And the wood bison are on the threatened, endangered species list.
I see.
But they are wild, or not really. Yeah.
They're not tame or anything, but they're not trained. You know, they're.
They wouldn't let you milk them.
No,
for sure not.
We feed them all the time, so used to feed them.
Well, I think doing a competition is much easier than fighting against these guys here.
Oh, I just want to say we're on lunch break. This is the rest of my quartet. They're grazing, and I'm the one who can speak, so they've asked me to talk today. But they're cute. They're cute. They have the looks, and I have the verbal skills. Well, even though you don't know if you're going to be one of the prize winners, to me it comes back to just, of course, being in the mountains and to take with me this experience of meeting the other quartets.
Quel concours? Il n'y a pas de concours, regardez ici. Hein? En plus, l'air est tellement euphorisant, j'ai envie de rire. Non, le concours, c'est merveilleusement organisé. On sent pas comme d'habitude l'ambiance de concours comme ça. Les gens sont super ici, très calmes. C'est super.
Well, we haven't really thought about winning due to the circumstances of our arrival, but after today's performance we feel much more optimistic about receiving a prize, and we're going to start preparing already our quartet for tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow.
You imagine what it's like to win, but you don't say, I know I'm gonna win. I mean, it's not worth it, because playing well is what's real important to us.
I try to have a clean slate when I sit down and they start to play. What I'm listening for is whether the group has a profile, whether they're not just four good players playing together, but that they have come up with a point of view about the music that's uniform.
When we found out the way that this competition worked, we put our crappiest repertoire up first. Now we've saved our 3 best pieces for the last round. And we'll just cross our fingers and see what happens.
Well, you try not to think about it, but there's a constant ball in your stomach all the way through. With me, I have to like breathe a lot, and I have to pretend it's not pressure. There's quite a bit of pressure because you just want to play your best. You know, I don't think we're here to win, because you don't know. And that's what I hope to leave here, is to play my best and under pressure. And that's why you rehearse so much, so that when you are under pressure, those fingers will still do the walking for you, when your brain is like, oh my gosh, what's next?
What's at stake? You mean if we don't win? If we don't win, it's just going to be hard. We're barely making a living right now, and certainly enough to pay the rent, but not enough to live on. We don't have time to spend money right now, so it's not like I miss it. But eventually I would like very much to have more of a normal life. What's at stake is that we want concerts, we want to play, we want to be heard. I love the music and I want people to hear that. But if we don't win, unfortunately second place doesn't really mean a lot. You have to win first place, otherwise you don't get the concerts. And that's what we're here for. It's scary because we've done our best here, and to do your best and still not have it be good enough is the biggest scare of all.
You know, it's impossible to be completely happy when people that you've become friends with over the last several days, you know that at the same time that you're excited to make it to the next round, these people are going through various degrees of devastation that they're not in the final round. And you know that had it been another set of jurors, it might very well be you that is not in the final round.
Basically what the job of the jury is to try and codify what it is that represents excellence in playing, and that's basically what it's about, is trying to determine what is excellence.
You have heard, I'm sure, many stories of in competitions where there have been protests. I don't see that happening, but one never knows.
But it is very difficult. We are 7 people. Everybody has different opinions, different ideas. And I feel a little bit for this Miami Quartet sorry. I'm sorry for them.
If you look at the history of some competitions, you'll notice that very often someone that came in 6th or 7th place is a world-class artist. And some of the winners you don't hear from anymore. Now, one doesn't like to think along those lines, but I think if a quartet would throw in the towel on the basis of losing a competition, they're not going to make it anyhow.
Actually, you know, when we shoot around the night before a performance, it becomes very superstitious. So, for example, I stand here and I say, okay, if I make it from here, I will have no mistakes in the Bartok.
Oh! But you already played the Bartok anyway.
That's right. So good thing I already played the Bartok because I just missed that.
Competitions, I think, are to a certain extent important to people's careers. You don't necessarily need to win first prize, but you have to show what you can.
This is the most extraordinary musical repertoire that there is. To be really facile about it is like being married to an angel 3 times over.
Well, at this point, we're when we get to the final 4, we're not listening just for the finals. We're listening for the whole week, the ones that have played now. It will have been 5 times in the week, and I think who will give the best overall impression will be the one that will win. can play the notes very, very well. They can play the notes flawlessly. They can play everything that's in the music, printed in the music flawlessly, and it can be very boring. And yet, some groups have the capacity to take the music and make it their own.
The first few moments after a performance can be pretty surreal, especially in a competition. You don't know what to think. You're not sure if your best is good enough. Only one thing is for certain. You're very, very tired. There's a lot of work involved in preparing a quartet, but the thing is that you're working at getting as close to the perfection as you can. And as you see the thing becoming more perfect, you realize that there's actually further to go. There's like an infinity of possibility of polishing these pieces.
Well, there's different mindsets that you're in when you play, and there's like the unconscious where you just play and you just try not to think about it and just do the best that you can, and the conscious where you're actually thinking that's an A and then a D, then a first finger, and then I move this arm here. And I think it's dangerous ever to click into the conscious.
Among the most challenging works in the repertoire,
What's your boast?
the late quartets of Beethoven have no equal. And in particular, there's the Opus 131. It's a very difficult piece to play, and especially so in competition. It's played without break. It's not unlike flying. You take off and 40 minutes later you land. But you can't stop, and if you stall or anything happens, actually you could crash. So have a good flight.
You go out there trying to project and feel comfortable, but if you don't, then you're really fighting to stay in control and keep your emotions in check.
I was holding my breath because the scherzando movement is really hard. And when they got through the last little section of that, I said, great, they're home free. But you know, often you're just a little bit on tenterhooks because you're not sure, well, you know, maybe something can still go wrong.
I always find I'm playing and my mind always starts to work faster than I'm used to. So you'll be thinking about the weather and all this shit, and you have to hit yourself on the head and say, I should be really concentrating here and playing some right notes.
It's over. For the quartets, there's nothing left to do, nothing left to give. Now the jury must decide, and it won't be easy.
This is the part of the competition that you have absolutely no control of. When you're up there with your instrument, you can do whatever you want, but now it's really out of your hands, and you know you've given it your best shot, so you have to be just satisfied and hopefully be able to relax.
Well, I'd like to say at first that I was really honored to have been asked to be the chairman of this year's jury. So the fourth prize in the competition is going to the Mandel Ring String Quartet. The third prize is going to the Amati String Quartet. The second prize goes to the YING String Quartet. And the first prize to the St. Lawrence Quartet.
The competitions for those that do well are great. Suddenly you have this huge thing. And sometimes it's even negative. The prizes can be thrust on somebody who's not just quite ready for it or whatever. I'm hoping it'll be a positive experience, and I expect it will be.
you know, the competition seems real important right now, this week, but come 2 years down the line, no one's really going to remember whether you won or whether you got knocked out in the first round. And on top of that, in 3 years, there's going to be a new winner of the Banff competition, and so you won't be, you know, the reigning champions or whatever anyhow.
I'll say something about the winners here, that if the winners can't back up what they've accomplished after they've won here, they're going to have a difficult road ahead, because once you've won a competition, you're expected to play on a certain level all the time. And if that level doesn't maintain the highest standard, they're going to be looking for other quartets.
There are no losers at the Banff International String Quartet competition. It's like when you climb to the top of a mountain, you look around and you see there's simply other mountains to climb. Such is the nature of quartet playing. It's an immensely satisfying way to go, and in the 26 years that I played with the ORFORD String Quartet, I feel I lived like a king. And when the playing is great, it's probably as close to ecstasy as one can get. Music, mountains, and magic. I'm Andrew Dawes.